Well, David, do you want to proceed with your poem? We'll
Sure, let
we'll
me
li-
do that
we'll
now.
we'll listen we'll listen with an extra ear, even though we can't see you.
Thank you. Anyway, I'm in Denver right now, and I'll be giving a big speech tomorrow night at their Christmas banquet. And so I'm kind of looking forward to that. But hello, Rabbi Mary. I'm kind of looking forward to that, but we'll see. We shall see what happens. But anyway, my poem today is something I've read before. It's by Alfred Tennyson, one of my favorite poets. In fact, he is my favorite after Shakespeare. And he wrote this poem called Eleanor, and he wrote it in 1831, and it got a horrible, horrible review, and which was so unfair. And all I can say now is that nobody remembers the name of whoever gave him that horrible review. But I don't think there's a single person on earth who has not heard of the name Alfred Tennyson. I wish I had known him. I do know his great great grandson, Jonathan, and we've been friends for many years. Anyway, he wrote this poem about this young girl who has a relationship that doesn't go well. But in the middle of it, he goes to this: as though a star in inmost heaven set, even while we gaze on it, should slowly round his orb and slowly grow to a full face, then like a sun remain fixed, then as slowly fade again, and draw itself to what it was before, so full, so deep, so slow. In the middle of his poem, he starts telling us about variable stars, 80 years before a national variable star organization was founded. But Tennyson knew about the sky, and he knew about stars that vary in brightness. Thank you very much. And
Yeah,
back to you.
David, did Tennyson have a profession in addition to writing?
No, he wasn't. He was a very young, Tennyson was a very young and very effective student, I believe, at Cambridge. But early in his life, he got this bad review that really depressed him. And because all he wanted to do was write poetry. But his friends were worried that he might actually kill himself because he was so unhappy and depressed.
Mhm.
It turns out that all he was doing was in silence, solitude, perfecting his art. And when he came out again in 1842 with poems that were absolutely stunning, and then in 1850, his magnum opus In Memoriam,
Right,
one of the great poems of English literature.
right. And he was knighted because I've
Yeah,
always
he was
heard of him.
knighted
Right.
that
Yeah,
year in
Alfred Lord
1850.
Tennyson. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was knighted. He got married that year. That was his annus mirabilis.
Come, my friends, 'tis not too late to seek a newer world.
Yeah, and that's from Ulysses, and
Yes.
that came out around 1842.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank
No,
you.
Shabbat shalom, Miri. Welcome. There comes the. There's the
Shabbat
boot.
shalom.
Good to see you.
I, uh, I just received a message. I'm going to have to leave very soon.
Oh, all right.
So I
Everything okay?
apologize.
Everything
What?
okay, Mike? Everything okay?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know yet,
all
but I'm
right.
going
Hope
to have
so.
to leave pretty soon.
All right. Do what you need to do, and you hope everything's all right.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mike.
Okay. So our bracha, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher
אשר
kitshanu
קידשנו במצוותיו
b'mitzvotav,
וציוונו
v'tzivanu
לעסוק
la'asok b'divrei
בדברי
Torah.
תורה. אמן.
Amen. So Marty tells me that the group, because I wasn't here last week, I was traveling. I was with the whole the ganze Mishpuche. We had everybody together for Thanksgiving out in Los Angeles.
Mm.
So wasn't able to be here last Saturday, but he told me that you were at approximately Deuteronomy chapter 12, verse 4.
Mm.
Does that
I-
seem to be correct to everybody else's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Is it?
correct.
Is it? My ribbons
Yeah,
are in there.
yeah.
Deuteronomy 12, that's 4. This is
Oh,
in
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, in
Yeah.
the some of the scholars and the critics divide up Moses, the whole book of Deuteronomy, but Moses's farewell speech into various themes, and this is where he specifically gets into instructions about when you come into the promised land. Of This is the centralizing the worship of for here he's talking about the worship. Later on, he'll be talking about the civil government that goes along with it, et cetera, et cetera. But that's where we are
Mhm.
at chapter 12, verse 4 is what Marty says. Okay. Um, so oh, I did as I looked at it, I wanted to mention, I don't know if anyone was able to say it last week, but at the end of verse 3, where Moses is warning to people is cut down the images of their gods, obliterating their name from that site. And since that's all in a context of what the children of Israel should do to the idols and the vessels and everything that belonged to the Canaanite nations, lahavdil, that we should treat our sacred things differently when they are no longer being used. And according to Rashi, that just that little phrase there at the end of verse 3, and the Jewish response to that is the um, 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 it's the justification for the Geniza, that we don't throw away, we don't obliterate, especially things that have God's name on them, but we bury them in sanctified ground. We give them
Mhm.
the proper respect upon rather than just destroying them and getting out of the way. And I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that was the origin of the practice of having a geniza and burying all the sacred objects in the Jewish world rather than just tossing them out like we were told
In
to do.
the Orthodox, if a person's limb is amputated, I believe that's also buried with a
Um,
prayer.
yeah, they certainly they try to bury it, and then, if possible, also to when the patient dies, to have the limb, exhumed if necessary, and then buried along with the rest of the body. Yes, you're right.
Hmm.
Now I see here in Rashi for verse 3 something that's interesting. And you shall obliterate their names. Not only should the idols themselves be removed, Jews were not even to refer to them by their proper names. Instead, they should use derogatory nicknames for them.
Ah,
So,
for the
so
for the
let's
for
find,
the idols or the Canaanite gods.
yeah. So
Okay.
let's find nicknames for that.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. I didn't catch that part of it. Okay. All right. So we'll go ahead with 4 as of verse 4. Donna, you may be Michael. Do you want to try to read before you have to leave, or
Yeah, I'll do a little bit here.
Okay, how about 4 through 7?
Okay. Do not worship the Lord your God in like manner, but look only to the site that the Lord your God will choose amidst all your tribes as his habitations to establish his name there. But there you are to go, and there you are to bring your burnt offerings and other sacrifices, your tithes and contributions, your your votive and free will offerings, and the firstlings of your herds and flocks. Together with your households, you shall feast there before the Lord your God, happy in all the undertakings in which the Lord your God has blessed you.
Okay. So so God will choose the place for the ultimate central site for sacrifices, and it will be within the territory that is amongst all of the tribes, right? And all of the major sacrifices and pilgrimages should go to that particular place.
What does votive mean in this text?
What's the verse, please?
It is 6, and there you are to bring your burnt offerings and other sacrifices, your tithes and your votive.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the different kind of discussion, is
Oh,
because there are separate words. They're identified separately. There's teruma or terumat yadchem. There's a neder. There's a nidava. They're all different words. The English has free will contribution, or just contributions. We usually mean contributions from the heart. Here it says from the hand, but contributions from the heart, or votive. Votive usually means the Hebrew is that it's in the context of a vow or a promise, but my commentary here says that that's a gift promise to God on condition that God will grant a benediction, or it's part of the covenant. This is what I'll do if this is what you'll do. That's identifying the Hebrews, the neder, or the votive in the English there, and then the free will is a nidava. That's something that is more like a courtesy, I
Yeah,
guess.
donation. Yeah.
Yeah, as an expression of devotion or gratitude.
wow.
Okay. So the votive, or what we see there in the English, is a conditional. Okay. I'm doing this because I hope that you will do that. All right. And then the first is it is the one that all the way back in Exodus. There's a lot that's described about that. Is in Hebrew it's the truma. That's the gift that, and it's called truma because it comes from the word that means to lift up. So this, when you do this, you lift yourself up, or they say, because this is specifically the choreography, was that if when you're making this gift or bringing this sacrifice, it would be lift, like think Kunta Kinte, right, or from Lion King. Here we're holding it up so that everybody can see that this is what we're doing. That's why here it's called Trumat Yedchem, or Truma from the hands.
I'm looking at verse 7. I find it interesting because they talk about Mishloach Yedechem, which basically it's the work that you do, your profession.
Hmm.
You shall eat there before Adonai your God, and you shall rejoice with your every undertaking, you and your households. But undertaking, I don't know if, in modern Ivrit, Mishloach Yadchem is really your profession.
Uh-huh.
Hmm.
It's your profession as opposed because Miri, it reminds me of from Pirkei Avot, Sameach B'chelko.
Right.
Okay, it's the one who takes joy and pride in his lot, in his in his lot in life, in his so. I don't know if that's supposed to if they're supposed to be parallel or if they're supposed to
Hmm.
conflict with each other. That you should rejoice. Happy or proud of
Mm-hmm.
all the things that you've done in your here Mishlach Yadcha. If you're talking about into modern Hebrew or the idiom is be happy and be proud in your reputation. Okay, or
Undertaking,
is it in
my translation of Stone calls it undertaking,
yeah, I
that,
see that
which
translation
means
also.
everything that you do,
Hmm.
everything that you do, your house is going to be blessed.
Yeah, undertakings. Your daily life.
Right, right, right.
And all in your daily in which the Lord. Yeah, that sits kind of better with me that way. The your daily life, not just
Yeah,
your
yeah,
profession, being a mother, father. Yeah, yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not just your
What you
title and
do
your
for a
reputation.
living, so it's interesting. So maybe what you're saying is sameach bechelko, to be happy in what you're doing, is in v'samachta, uh, and you should be happy with what you do in your daily life,
Hmm.
not in a special
Right.
occasion.
Well, I always understood that phrase more rather than happy, rejoicing. I always understood that more content, be satisfied with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, 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 makes sense.
Hmm.
But the context here, I think, is much more of a joyful, rejoicing, celebrate
Hmm.
because of all the things that you've done.
And it also gives you that last sentence, gives you that reminder that it's not you. This is what God has blessed you with.
True, true.
You
That's
know.
that's a consistent theme in Moses's stuff. Don't fall into the trap of thinking that you're the one who's responsible for all of it.
Right, right.
God has done this. God has blessed you, or God is the one who's preventing you from suffering, etc. Right.
Yeah. And it doesn't qualify things, as far as the rich or the poor. It's whatever your life is, your undertakings. You're blessed too. It doesn't matter if
Yeah,
you have all the gold in the world. It's not about that.
yeah. It doesn't specify who. It's about you.
No. Although again, we get into this issue of the technicality in the Hebrew, which doesn't necessarily show in the English, is in the Hebrew it's in the plural form.
Hmm.
It's a collective.
Yeah,
Okay. David, your
Oh,
camera works. Hello.
all of it is there.
Hello, Maya. I figured
Right.
out, even though it's Shabbat, I figured out how to turn on my camera. What I
Uh-huh.
did was I threw the computer out the window and it hit the parking lot and bounced back up, and now I have my video.
yeah. And I get a full face. not a side, a
Yeah.
profile.
Without a telescope, right.
Yeah.
No, I
Um,
just messed around a little bit, but it's
well,
good to be here. And even though I'm here in Denver, I really did not want to miss Torah study, particularly when our rabbi is leading it today.
Yeah.
thanks. We're glad. We're
Uh,
glad that you
I
can still be here.
agree.
you
Glad that we're
you
all
never
here.
you never looked better, David. You look great. Good
Yeah.
Thank
job.
you. So do
Very
you.
good job.
Yeah.
All of you do, my
Yeah.
family.
Well done.
Rabbi, if you look
Yes.
at that sentence that you say it's in plural until three words before the end.
Uh-huh. Asher
Asher
berachacha.
berchecha
Right.
Elohecha. Yeah, it's interesting.
Right. It got now. It might be poor editing, of not catching the consistency, or there might be an intentional opportunity for a lesson to be learned.
Hmm.
Okay, that for each person to be entitled to God's blessing, everyone has to participate
Oh.
Yeah.
in the whole.
Oh.
You're welcome to add your own teaching to it, but most of the paragraph, is in the plural. But then, as Rabbi Miri points out, okay, that this relates to God will bless you. Your God will bless you individually in the singular.
Hmm.
And I don't know, in the two commentaries that I have here, I don't see if either of them picks up on that. No, they don't. So we're open to our own interpretations.
Uh, with the plural and the singular, the idea of staying together, right? That's a big part of Judaism, is to work together to stay connected as,
Hmm.
as a unit in order for the all of us,
And
not
to
just
feel a
one.
sense of responsibility one to the other.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm happy that it's written that way, because that once again you get into self so much. Yeah, oh, I'm blessed, but no, yes, you are, but however, it is also our community that works together to be connected. Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah, actually look at look at verse 8
Okay.
relating to what Donna is
Oh,
saying.
oh, there
Okay.
we go. I didn't even read ahead.
No, it caught my eye. Okay. So
Interesting.
don't do that like we are here, because we're still affected. We This is Moses talking. We're still affected by the mentality of being slaves, right? And our responsibility as slaves was to the Pharaoh, or to, in that hierarchy, to the taskmaster, and then to the on up to the Pharaoh. Now we have different responsibility and accountability
Huh.
as we form our own society and our own people. Okay, so you shall not act at all how we act here. Here meaning still in the wilderness, right? But where every man acts as he pleases. Sorry for the gender specification there. Every man has, because you have not, because But once you get to the special place that I'm bringing you, I want things to be, or Moses is suggesting God wants things to be different.
They have to be different.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that sentence, and we use it still. Ish kechol ayashar be'enav yaseh. Everyone is going to do what they think is correct. So it's not following a law, but everyone making his own law.
Huh. It
Now,
must have been quite a time
well,
to, to get from that
the
slave mentality.
specific frame of reference, if I can call it that, is talking about the sacrifices.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and a little bit later on, we're going to get the very specific command from Moses, that you no, you can't do it this way, you can't do it that way, you can't divert to the right or to the left, you can't change things. This is the way. Now, as we are moving forward towards being a holy people, this is the way that it must be done.
Hmm.
Okay? He's looking for the uniformity and the conformity and the unanimity in worship, and the way and the place and the order of the sacrifices. Right now, this frame of reference is every man does as he pleases. Is the everybody in their own might have had their own little altar, their own little pattern of
Right,
sacrifices. But
right.
I'm Moses is saying, I'm trying to set up what we later called the Shulchan Aruch. Here's the prepared table, and this is the way we're going to do it.
Hmm.
But we can certainly expand upon the notion and the suggestion that if you let everyone do what they want to do, it's going to be hard to have a controlled society.
Right. Private altars.
Hmm.
Oh,
So we can kind of understand Moses to say, Moses, I kind of understand that for the last 40 years and for the 400 years before that, everybody was on their own. We hadn't really had much contact with with Elohim, with our God. But now we're putting it all together. We're centralizing. We're developing ourselves and developing our customs and our laws and our mitzvot, and setting up our religious structure.
hmm.
Okay. All right. Maybe we should. Michael, you want to try reading a little bit more? I know that you have to leave any minute, but
Yeah. Oh, okay. You shall not act at all as we now act here. Every man as he pleases. 9. Because you have not yet come to the allotted heaven that the Lord your God is giving you. When you cross the Jordan and settle in the land that the Lord your God is allotting to you, and he grants you safety from all your enemies around you, and you live in scrutiny, then you must bring everything that I command you to the site where the Lord your God will choose to establish his name. Your burnt offerings and other sacrifices, your tithes and your contributions, and all the choice votive offerings that you vowed to the Lord.
Hmm.
13. And you shall rejoice before the Lord your God with your sons and daughters, and with your male and female slaves, along with the Levites in your settlement, for he has no territorial allotment among you.
Right.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
So and that's kind
Nicely
of a
read,
restatement
Michael.
of what was in the paragraph before, but now adding that celebration is not just you by yourself, but it's with your whole family and with your slaves, and then incidentally, don't forget the Levites, because once there's the central sanctuary in Jerusalem, although it's not identified as Jerusalem yet, but once there's the central sanctuary, then the Levites are going to lose all their income from all these small villages and the places where people are bringing their individual sacrifices to.
Mm.
So got to make sure. Don't forget about the Levites.
Yeah, in my mind, in a sequence of events, um, coming out of Egypt and going through all the laws and regulations, etc., is creating a nation. And a nation is something completely different of what we had before. Before we had tribes, and each tribe did whatever they wanted. Basically, later on, we see horrible things that happen among the tribes. And to create something that unified everyone in every tribe, I think it is a concept um, completely new to these people. Um, yeah, the tribal way of operating is disappearing. Yes and no. I mean, in the land you are separated, but by having later on a temple that's a central place of worship, not everyone do wherever they want where they live, but I think it's a new notion, and that's why we see perhaps this plural and singular and the difficulty of these people understanding what's going on.
Mm.
It's very difficult, I would assume, to make that shift
Mm.
from your loyalty and your identification in a much smaller grouping. Even like when you know everybody, okay, and
Right,
everybody is
right.
immediately related.
Yeah,
Well, this one's married to my brother-in-law, and this one, and but now all of a sudden we're talking of a people,
Mm.
and
I'm watching, and I watch only the first episode of the War, and you had,
the new Ken
yeah,
Burns
and you
documentary.
had the what did they call it? The 13 uh, they were divided among, it wasn't one nation that was in America. They had, you can call them tribals, but they had a division of what each one wanted to do. They were colonies, that's the word I want. They
Mhm.
were colonies. And to create one unified thing, it was a big struggle because people wanted to continue to do what they have done, as you said, my cousins are here. I don't want to go to someone that might have a different religion or whatever. So creating one unified people is not an easy thing, and it happened in history, I believe, after these tribal ways of living.
Right, and then especially when you throw in now the attachment to land,
Yeah, yeah,
okay?
yes,
Right.
yeah. That's very true. And, we know the stories later on. My son asked me the other day, said, do you know what's the word? He said, siboleth. And I said, oh,
Shibboleth.
sibolet.
Shibboleth, right.
That they wouldn't allow people to come into their area unless they knew the password to say it properly. And then I compare it when you are in line and someone said, I want a taco, but without jalapenos, and that is not a Tucsonan person to say jalapenos and not jalapenos. So the issue of locality, you're right. It's not just, it's a very complicated uh, enterprise.
Well, yes, and I mean, and you kind of you try to expand it. Like you can imagine that. So Moses is presenting this this menu of, and not just here in these chapters, but Moses is presenting this menu of what you shall bring as sacrifices.
Mm-hmm.
With certain species of animals or types or types of birds or certain types of fruit and whatever. And if you lived in an entirely different geographical area, you never even heard of these things.
Hmm.
Yeah, I remember when Lynn and I were moving down here from Michigan, the landscaper, because we built our house, and the landscaper sent us a picture, not a picture, a drawing of what all the plants and everything he was putting in. We didn't recognize a single name of anything that he was going to be doing. So how could we say, oh, well, we like that or we don't like that? We just have to trust him and his experience and his knowledge of what
Locally.
would look good and what would prosper or what would flourish in this particular type of neighborhood and climate and ground, and whatever, because we certainly didn't know. So I can. It's like you said. The people in the who were going to be living in the across the river and and they're going to be living down in the Shvela. They're going to be living over by the Mediterranean coast, but talking about the people who are going to be up in Golan and the type of animals and what are you talking about? How can I bring that kind of a sacrifice? I don't even know where I would find it.
Hmm.
Yeah, but still, there is an emphasis here that the temple is going to be the center of all of you.
Right, right. No matter where you're coming from, right. This will be the central place here in the sense of the sacrificial cult, but also then later on in terms of the civil government and in terms of the military leadership.
Right.
It will all come together in Jerusalem. Morning, Suzanne.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing historically, without this being historically, but the notions and the concepts that are coming in that we can apply for today. I mean, Russia says this piece was always mine. I want it back. So that kind of ownership of land is very, yeah. But it was a consideration. I always liked it. If you had to come to the temple and you live very far away, and you needed to bring grapes, but by then, until you come 3 days, they become raisins. So you so you have to adjust of what you're bringing.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay. All right. Okay, well, we are at Deuteronomy 12, um, verse 13,
Mm.
right? Good. Donna, do you want to
Sure.
over from there?
Yes. Take care not to sacrifice your burnt offerings in any place you like, but only in the place that the Lord will choose in one of your tribal territories.
Right.
There,
Okay. So, in other words,
there's tribal.
Moses doesn't know that it's going to wind up being Jerusalem, right? And
Oh,
as a matter of fact, there are several other places where will be the center of worship first before David conquers Jerusalem.
mm,
Okay.
okay. Okay. There, there you shall sacrifice your burnt offerings, and there you shall observe all that I enjoy upon you. But whenever But whenever you desire, you may slaughter and eat meat in any of your settlements, according to the blessing that the Lord your God has granted you. The impure and the pure alike may partake of it, as of the gazelle and the deer. But you must not partake of the blood. You shall pour it out on the ground like water.
Okay. All right. So, um, okay, we're moving towards the ultimate list of of what's kosher and what's not,
Right.
but recognizing that extenuating circumstances do exist, and which gets us into kind of what ultimately will be the I guess the prioritization of the mitzvot, of the commandments. Okay, that so use based on the same kind of thinking here, that normally you wouldn't be able to eat of the gazelle and the deer, but if that's all that's there and you need to sustain yourself, Moses is saying that God will understand. Okay,
Hmm.
if it's Yom Kippur and it's supposed to be a fast day, a day of self-denial, but you take daily medicine. Okay, it's not that you can take your medicine; you must take the medicine. All right. So there are only like a handful of the mitzvot that can't be overridden under any circumstances. But they base it on this kind of a thing. Okay. With the but one of the exceptions is the prohibition against eating or drinking blood.
Hmm.
Okay, this is one that I'm always asked about the why do we have to remove the blood? The centrality of blood in our traditions, including women blood and here the kosher blood. And what's that about? I'm asked that question. I sometimes have answers, not that they are the right ones, but what I speculate. Um, any thoughts about that?
Hmm.
Well, originally it goes all the way back to the laws of Noah. That you must drain the blood. So that's where they start with that. For whatever reason, draining or drinking blood is a what was the phrase that I was always taught? It's a universal taboo. All
Hmm.
civilized cultures reject it, and indeed, ironically, one of the worst accusations against the Jews throughout history
The
is
blood
is
libel,
you know
yeah.
has been the blood libel, as that the Jews would drain the blood to then drink it or use it in baking matzah or whatever it might be.
Hmm.
Mary, I don't get asked about it necessarily that
I
much,
am.
but yeah, but people certainly are aware, are aware of that, and it can get into a conversation about that blood can be, like I say, taboo which has both positive and negative characteristics to it. Something can be taboo because it's utterly forbidden, but it also can be taboo and prohibited because it is so sacred.
Hmm.
It is so holy and represents so much that is holy that you can't come close to it. So it's an interesting, it's a fascinating concept there in theory of it, whenever if I get into that discussion, it usually branches off into this. Well, what does blood represents? I mean, almost
Right.
everybody says, well, I can't stand the sight of blood, or whatever, or don't ask me to touch or work with the blood or something like that. Well, why? I mean, on one hand, blood cleanses. We certainly know that. On the other hand, blood is the essence of life. Um,
Blood cleanses? What do you mean?
Purifies in some contexts, in the sense that it represents the essence of life, not
Right.
not not
Yes.
cleanse not cleansing this way.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, that's
right.
that's one of my response is the knowledge of what's life. Like at that point, and the very Orthodox people don't accept that when the brain stops working, it's
Hmm.
death.
Right.
But I think that they realize that losing all your blood, you're dead. So it's a kind of a symbol of life. I think, there are stories about unplugging people because they are dead, brain dead, but their heart is still, working because they put all these tubes into them. Uh, it's interesting that, it's the heart and the kidneys, musar klayot, and the lev. But it seems to me that blood was regarded as part of living, that when you don't have it, you're dead. Uh, I don't know. I really don't know. And because it's not only that you're not living, but it's tameh. It's not kadosh. It's not holy. It's and the people of today cannot understand why that was not holy. Um, in sexual life, blood is so no holy that you cannot have sex while blood is there. So it is, I think, a complicated issue for us to
Very,
understand it.
very. And blood in the Torah, blood has its own voice. The blood with Cain and Abel, the blood of your brother is calling out
Okay,
to me.
right.
Things like, so blood's obviously not only symbolized but represented
Life, yeah.
the life, the body, the soul, whatever. There's a midrash. I'm sure that you've seen it. It's not, maybe not even a midrash, just a little comment that so that you take the word Adam, Adam.
Right.
It's the dam is the blood, but the aleph is the eye. And so if you take
Okay.
if you take the aleph, or you take the dam away, oh, you don't really have, and you don't have a complete eye. Uh, Letter I in, me,
Mm.
not the I, not out of I up here. So it is a fascinating kind of thing, and here the assumption is that again, the Canaanite, the Edomite, the other nations had an
Very good.
entirely different approach
Right,
to
right,
to
right,
to blood, and
right.
and that's why we were commanded to stay away from it. To
To
uh,
drain it from the animals they're going to eat. Yeah.
exactly, exactly, exactly,
Hmm.
exactly. So okay. Anything else with these verses?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Excuse me. Oh, geez. Where did it go?
We were 13 to 16 was the last paragraph that you
Oh,
read.
okay.
Yeah.
13. Well, they talk about where's the gazelle and the gaz and the deer. I can't find it right now, but it talks about
That's 15. That's verse 15.
oh, okay. Hang on. My eyes. The impure. Okay, thank you. So the impure and the pure alike may partake of it, as of the gazelle and the deer. So this is this referring to my purity or impurity? I can partake of it, and the impurity and the purity of the animal. Is it
of
both?
the animal.
Yeah.
In other
And
words,
not the human too.
it's
No,
okay.
no.
No, it's
Okay.
not the human. It's okay to eat of those animals if necessary.
Okay.
Right.
It's okay to
Because
eat of
it's
those.
not,
Right,
yeah,
right.
it's
Okay.
not according to the law what animals you can eat or not, which they have split uh, parsa and they chew their food. You know that what animals we can eat only,
With the stomachs, the well, at cloven, but
Yeah, cloven hoof,
right? And
yeah,
they chew their what's that?
cud.
cud. Yeah.
Yes, right. Only those. And I don't think that these two have that.
Oh, dear. That's a Google object for later.
Yeah,
Yeah, you don't usually think of venison being, being kosher,
Really?
right?
Huh. Oh, because it's a wild beast and not a domesticated?
no.
No.
Oh,
Okay, let's go on with we're at 17.
okay.
I guess Donna, you're our official reader.
Oh, okay.
17 through 19.
All righty. Uh, you may not partake in your settlements of the tithes or your new grain or wine or oil or the firstlings of your herds and flocks or of any of the votive offerings that you vow or your free will offerings or of your contributions. These you must consume before the Lord your God in the place that the Lord God will choose. You and your sons and your daughters, your male and female slaves, and the Levite in your settlements. Happy before the Lord your God in all your undertakings. Be sure not to neglect Levite as long as you live in your land.
Get a feeling that Moses had one of the Levites sitting, standing next to him and said, "Hey Mo, remember, tell them to not forget us. Tell them
Oh,
to not forget us." Because
uh-huh.
every paragraph, it is there. But Moses, again, as we said, is just being very, very specific. Whether it's with the animals, whether it's with the grains and the produce, whether it's the oil and the wine and whatever all of this. Here's the context that we're trying to centralize, and we're trying to have a specific set of order once we cross the promised land. Things have been different, but this is what I suggest Moses is saying. This is what I suggest is needs to change. And as we said, for the sake of moving away from the tribal identity into a peoplehood, so that we're all following, whether you came from this area, that area, with this line, that line, we're all going to be trying to follow the same patterns, no matter where we are in the promised land.
Right. And the Levites don't have land,
It won't have, right.
so everyone has to feed them.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then there's that same set of phrases of so if you follow this v'samachta, then you
Right,
will you will
right.
be able to you will be able to rejoice, or as I was saying earlier, you'll be content.
Hmm.
Okay, your family, your slaves. Okay,
שמחת בחגך,
mhm,
והיית
right.
אך שמח. And that's a very interesting thing that, you need to be joyful. The being joyful is part of this, and we need to remember it. And I think we have to remember it when we have services these days that they're so gloomy. And we are
No,
supposed
you missed
to
you missed being with us
rejoice.
last night. We had a lot of
Yeah.
laughter last night.
Yeah.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, not in this synagogue. I was talking
I
about
know.
others.
I
Yeah,
got you.
yeah.
I gotcha. I gotcha. Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. The male and female slaves, were those from Egypt? Because they did take, no, where did these slaves come from? When they left Egypt? Didn't they take slaves? I don't know where they came from, the male and female slaves.
And gender, what's the word? Endanger,
Indentured
Oh,
servants. Yeah.
servants, where you
Yeah.
work it off. Okay.
yeah.
For the most
Oh,
part.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Right.
Okay, okay,
Now there may have been hangers on that came out of Egypt, but they weren't necessarily considered slaves.
hmm,
Okay. There were those amongst who lived within your gates, strangers within your gates, but
okay,
they're not necessarily slaves.
okay.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. Well, let's go on. Verse 20.
When the Lord enlarges your territory as he has promised you, and you say, I shall eat some meat, for you have the urge to eat meat, and you may eat meat whenever you wish.
Incidentally, I have to throw it out this way.
Okay.
Okay. Moses is not a young kid, right? And sometimes he forgets what he's already said. So he's go he's oh yeah, I better talk about the gazelle and the deer. I better talk about the media, forgetting that 2 paragraphs ago or half an hour ago in his talk that he already mentioned this. But okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but you cannot be vegan because you like meat.
I'm
That's
sorry.
no vegan. You like meat. You need to eat meat.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm sorry to interrupt there, Donna, but it's okay.
No, no, no. um, okay, you shall eat some meat.
Like 2021. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Wherever you wish. If the place where the Lord has chosen to establish his name is, wait, if the place where the Lord has chosen to establish his name is too far from you, you may slaughter any of the cattle or sheep that the Lord gives you. As I have instructed you, you may eat to your heart's content in your settlements. That sounds inviting. Eat to your heart's content.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a richness, being a slave in Egypt, to have this revealed to you that no, there's not going to be limits. You you won't go hungry anymore. In a lot of different ways, other than just the substances of the meat. You'll be taken care of.
And in our family, eat to your heart's content is something that my dad would say often. And it's only just now that I realized that he quoted it from the Bible.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
Right.
that's
I think
really
we
amazing that our
huh.
family had used that as one of his favorite sayings. Eat to your heart's content. And
Hmm.
now I will
and I
start to
think
use it.
I think we encountered the actual mitzvah, the actual commandment, is ve'achalta v'sarvachta ve'rachta, is, eat until you're satisfied, and then bless. Okay, so you can't say the blessing after the meal is birkat hamazon. You can't say it if you haven't eaten till your fill, because then you haven't fulfilled the commandment. There's all
Huh.
three parts to it.
Huh.
Okay, all right.
Now comes something interesting.
Where are we?
Okay,
22, huh?
right. And on 23, I like what it says.
Someone read, please.
Oh, 22?
Sure.
Okay. Eat it, however, as the gazelle and the deer are eaten. The impure may eat it together with the pure, but make sure that you do not partake of the blood, for the blood is the life, and you must not consume the life with the flesh. You must not partake of it. You must pour it out on the ground like water. You must not partake of it in order that it may go well with you and with your descendants to come. For you will be doing what is right in the sight of the Lord. Well, there it is.
Right. Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Blood is life.
Yeah, and the word here is interesting because we use it as one of the words for soul,
Ne-
nefesh.
Nefesh.
Yes.
Hmm.
So I like that differentiation in
Mm,
which is not simple life, but it's beyond that.
mm, mm.
Continue on. So what's the difference between the soul and the life?
Well, when people ask me in a memorial or in a funeral, um, where do I, where do we go, and what is the soul, and so forth. So the soul is in my mind is that thing that it is real life in the sense that I touch the life of others. It's a memory that remains from the body, from the
Mm,
physical body.
The
And
nefesh, the soul is.
yeah, the soul. And it's a difficult way of explaining um, to people that they don't believe that there is soul, that soul is something. Soul, nefesh, and ruach, that they are all very not existing in a physical way.
mhm,
Uh, so that's the soul. I don't know how each one of you sees soul, uh,
mm,
but mine is more how this person who dies touch you, Dana. And you recall that connection, and a connection is an abstract thing. Uh, the memory of it, the memory of it. Now,
mm.
anyway, I go usually into that direction.
Yeah. For me, like the soul is the spark, is the soul is the spark, is the beginning in my mind. And then the blood is the life. That's what's keeping the body alive. But the soul is untouchable. And but for me, it's that beginning of that creation of the spark of this whole big thing of God. And this is the jewel that we each have, our soul. That's part of God, that spark.
Um, I like that. but I was a little confused when you said the soul is untouchable. Okay,
Meaning, I can't,
because
it's,
there is a phrase of that this person's word or this person's action touched my soul. So, and that that's a very resonant phrase for me.
mhm. It spoke to
I'm
me.
wondering what you meant when you said that the soul is untouchable.
Untouchable meaning not tangible. Un, un, it's not
Physically
physically
approachable.
touchable.
Okay, all
Okay,
right,
yeah.
okay,
Um,
okay.
Once I was in a place that we were washing the dead person, the physical dead person. It was a person that I knew, not very close to me, but I knew them. And when I was looking at this body, it was only like a shell
mhm,
that contained that human that existed.
mhm,
Um, it's a very difficult notion. It's a difficult notion.
mhm,
But it's an important one.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
You know, and some of it I think is that by definition, it's like it's like as soon as we try to give verbal adjectives or descriptions to God,
Right.
you know, immediately there are limitations or there are contradictions, and it's not because God is filled with contradictions, it's because our language is.
Yeah.
You know,
oh,
That's all we
it's
have.
like I just picked up on what Donna was saying about untouchable because I understood the word a little bit differently than the way that you intended it.
mhm,
Okay, so it's the same thing when we're talking about the Hebrew is nefesh or the English is a soul. uh, we may all agree that it's the part of us that, at least from the Jewish point of view, I don't know whether if Suzanne wants to join in at all, but from the Jewish point of view, the soul is the part of us, the part of us that is immortal, that lives on, that presently is being housed in our bodies in that shell that Mary was talking about,
mhm,
and then somehow lives on after the shell dies, but the soul doesn't die, then we may have different understanding or different beliefs about what happens to the soul. Does it go into a different body? Does it somehow exist in a different form? The Jewish position is that that soul is immortal and eternal.
mhm.
Okay, I don't know, Suzanne, you want to jump in, please?
Yeah,
I'd love to
Oh,
learn from you.
well,
yes, me
I
too.
can't speak for all Christians because a lot of my views are in the minority of well, not the important part, but um a soul lives on independently of a human body. You can't kill a soul.
Right.
You can kill a body, but you can't kill a soul. And um I agree with you, Rabbi, that a soul is immortal, and depending on your faith, what happens after we die um, dictates, where the soul goes. Um, for a Christian, excuse me, for those that are believers in Yeshua, we believe the soul then goes to heaven.
Mhm.
Otherwise, it does not. It goes to a very bad place. Um, but I don't know what you believe after a body dies.
Right, right. Okay, and I mean, it's like I'll go back to when David began this morning talking about Alfred Lord Tennyson. You know, it's not that Tennyson lives on; it's that Tennyson's work, Tennyson's poetry, Tennyson's, Tennyson's gifts,
What you live.
his reputation, his insight, perception, whatever, that's what lives on, and we would generically refer to all that as his soul.
Oh, I see.
I think that's a very appropriate way
even
of
if
describing it.
he himself is not with us any longer. I mean, I'm working on a piece. Some of you know I'm being installed next month as the president of the retired rabbis group, and so I have to give a talk, and so I'm working on on developing the some of the things that I learned from those who encouraged me to become a rabbi that many years ago and things like that. And and those gifts represent their souls to me, and hopefully through me, that I can then impart to those who are coming after me. In that sense.
Is that related to then when we say, may their memory be a blessing?
Exactly. Sure.
That's what that's about.
Sure.
It's
Will be, yeah.
yeah. And
No, yeah.
go
No, sorry, Dana.
no, that's fine. I just do this, I flash out. But yeah,
Well, the
may their
phrase,
memory be a blessing.
may
Yes.
their memory be a blessing, or may their memory be blessed.
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I know what I was going to ask. With the soul, that's part of, when we're talk so much and pray about this wanting to get closer to God. That's my soul that is wanting that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not my brain. It's emotional. It's the emotional component of thinking about it and really wanting that. But for me, it's the soul that's wanting that reconnection so badly, and I do too.
Yeah.
Whether it comes or not, but that this is part of the work towards that.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
Yeah. The soul. Could you say reconnect with? So the soul comes from
Knows.
God and returns to God.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
knows it's home.
However, we may understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Yeah.
but again, the distinction is it's not something that we can have scientific knowledge about. It's what we form our beliefs about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the
We
faith.
believe that this is what is happening, but none of it can be empirically proven that this is what happens.
I want to share another piece of this. For soul in Hebrew, I just mentioned, we have three words. We have nefesh, and we have neshama, and we have ruach. And all of them are connected with breathing, with how, so, and Rabbi Wasko, Zichrono Livracha, he just died. When he encountered the word God in the Torah, he used to say, yeah. So we have all this kind of, esoteric would be a good word. There's something that's untouchable, and without it, we don't exist. I don't know, but I always fascinating about these words connected with the air that we breathe.
And he breathed it into God.
Right.
And perhaps that's when he breathed, blew, he blew in the
life.
spirit. Maybe he blew in the soul.
Life. Right.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, and you're right, because he blew, when he created the Adam, he uses this word of, am I right? To blow into him life. So it's again something that's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Yep.
You
Okay.
know, my husband, it's been, oh gosh, 13, 14 years ago, but he was able to die at home. And I had already prepared some anointing oil, and um, because I was present, I was there by myself. And to go through that ritual was difficult, but it was also a loving thing for me. Uh, a loving thing to massage this in, but knowing full well that Jack, Jack is gone, that soul is gone, but to honor that flesh and that vessel that he came in, and uh, to wish him good peace and all that. It's very moving, and it from this I will never forget that.
And it's a holy deed.
It's a holy deed.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Donna, that must have been a very wonderful experience for you and also a very trying experience for
It
you.
was, yeah.
I can relate to how you feel. I really can.
Yes, I know you
Thank you.
can, David. I know you can.
Okay.
Let's do one more paragraph, and then that'll take. So it's starting at verse 26.
Okay. Anybody else want to read?
Well, just do 26 and 27, and then we'll.
Okay, I can do that. But such sacred and votive donations as you may shall be. But such sacred and votive donations as you may shall be taken by you to the site that the Lord will choose. You shall offer your burnt offerings, both the flesh and the blood, on the altar of the Lord your God, and of your other sacrifices. The blood shall be poured out on the altar of the Lord your God, and you shall eat the flesh.
Okay,
So,
that's in the sacrifices.
oh, okay.
Okay.
So it can go, the blood is not going in the dirt, but it goes on the altar.
Right.
Yeah. Of of
And
of, of the sacrifices.
Yeah.
Right. Now this is all when that temple, when the site has been chosen and dedicated and whatever. Moses understands that things may be different right now because we're all in different places and have to, but once we have the centralized place, the he doesn't use the word temple or whatever, but once there's the sacred site, then this we're setting up what the rite, the RITE, what the rite shall look like.
So blood is life, and then the blood placed on the altar is the life given back to God of no, the slaughtered.
Well, don't forget they're not all the same sacrifice. So there's a burnt sacrifice that everything, the olah, that everything is consumed
Oh,
in its entirety. Okay, this is different sacrifice
okay.
that where you separate the flesh and the blood.
Hmm. Oh, well,
Okay,
I know a
but
lot more about blood and soul
yeah,
than I
but
did
but
before.
in other words, is still to make sure that none of the blood it has to be spilled on the altar or whatever, so that none of it unintentionally is consumed by any human being or any and
Okay,
it's preventative in that sense.
very good.
Okay, and I guess we'll do. I'll just read 28 to finish that off, as you will. Be careful to heed all these commandments that I enjoin upon you. Thus it will go well with you, with your descendants after you forever, for you will be doing what is good and right in the sight of the Lord your God.
Hmm.
Okay, this is all tov. This is all what what Moses is suggesting that we do.
Okay. 29. Would
Okay,
you like?
I'm going to have to get going.
Okay, that's fine. Let's go.
So I'll tell Marty that
Well, could we complete 29 with Mary?
if you want, although I think it kind of goes into a little different.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like another paragraph. Yeah.
Okay, I'll
Yeah,
mark that then.
so that's
Oh.
I made a note that that would be a good stopping point. That you
Great.
could start 29. Again, we do have a worship service for Shabbat next Saturday, so we would be back in 2 weeks, which is right before Hanukkah begins, right?
Mm.
No,
Okay, and I
next
will
week is
attempt to be
Hanukkah.
there.
A week from tomorrow is Hanukkah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Comes up fast.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Now I
Okay.
need to buy potatoes.
Yeah, and oil.
Right.
Yeah, it's called the holiday of the oil.
Yeah,
Right.
I love that. I mean, donuts? Yes. I think I'll make some.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
Thank you,
Shabbat
rabbis.
Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom
Shabbat
and
shalom.
thank
Shabbat
you.
shalom.
Me'ach.
Bye-bye.
David, good luck with your presentation tomorrow, and then travel
Yes.
safely back home.
Thank you.
Okay? And
Thank you,
Suzanne, I'm sure
Rabbi.
we'll see you before your actual holy season. So
Okay,
wish
great.
you
Before
well, too.
Christmas.
Right.
Take care.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
Okay.
Bye,
everyone. Be
everybody.
well.
Goodbye, everyone.